Welcome back, everyone. Today's Reddit story comes from the subreddit Am I the A-hole? So here we go. Lost interest in the girl because of her hoe phase. I, male, have this friend. She's nice looking, outgoing, and funny. We met in school and hit it off as friends. We hung out together or as a group, or me and my girlfriend with her and her boyfriend a few times a week. We have never been single at the same time, so I never really noticed her romantically. I mean, I noticed she was attractive, but never thought of her romantically. I ended up breaking up with my girlfriend, and a few months later, she broke up with her boyfriend. Well, because most of our friends are paired off at the time, we end up hanging out like 4 days a week. I wasn't aware I was catching feelings for this girl until someone pointed out I stopped dating and approaching other women. It really hit home when she went on a few different dates and I noticed I was jealous. So I sat her down and had a chat. Told her I have noticed recently I was becoming interested in her. I absolutely hated seeing her go on dates with other guys and wanted to see if us dating would be as cool as our friendship so far. First, she smiled. Big, happy, excited eyes. Then something happened. Her smile turned unsure. She explained she had thought of it as well and is interested in giving it a try, but not till the end of the summer. Confused, I asked why the end of the summer. She explained she was in her hoe phase, her words, and she wanted to have a summer of fun before she settled down. The rest of that day was awkward. I cut things short. When she asked, I told her we were fine. My pride was bruised a bit and I was feeling disappointed. But not to worry, we are definitely still friends. I have to admit, the second she chose potential random hookups and getting run through for the summer over a relationship, all romantic feelings died. I wasn't mad at her. She did nothing wrong. But the way I viewed her had changed. She was forever in the friend zone for me. I took a few days, put my big boy pants on, and we started hanging out again. But it was different. I only saw her as a friend, and I was only interested in seeing her every now and then, not like before. I started dating other girls again. I had no hard feelings. I generally enjoyed being around her, only like before we both had spouses. Anyways, one night we were in our group, we all had a few drinks, and she says, "Hey, good news, summer's almost over." Oblivious to what she meant till later, I said, "That sucks, I love summer." Then I got distracted by other conversation being had. I did notice she was cold towards me the rest of the night. October rolls around, she wants to do lunch, just her and I. We meet up, having a great talk. We talked about our summer. She talked about all the guys she dated over the summer. She used this to steer the conversation to us. She wanted to let me know she was ready to settle into a relationship and wanted to go back to our earlier conversation. I told her it's cool, I value our friendship and think we should just stay friends. She wanted to know what's changed and would not let it go. So I had to be honest. I told her that her choice to put me on the back burner for hot girl summer was hurtful. And I was like, if she actually liked me, she would have wanted to be in a relationship with me. She said she knew we would be the real thing and she needed to get through her whole phase to give us an honest shot. I let her know the fact she felt we could have been something and she still chose potentially to get run through by a bunch of strangers instead of starting something real tells me she doesn't feel about me the way she thinks she does. I accept that and stay friends with her with no hard feelings. But the second she chose to put me on the back burner, I lost all romantic feelings for her. Forever, because it feels like she was shopping around all summer and settled on me. And I am nobody's backup plan. She got mad, stopped talking to me. Our friends think I should apologize and give her a chance. But those feelings just aren't there. What do you think? Am I the a-hole? I should probably add a timeline. This was last summer. We have seen each other around, but she avoids me if she can. The reason I write this now is because a mutual friend and I were talking about last summer, how the fall went, then pointed out she is still single and asked me recently if I had or would change my mind. I don't think they were asking for her because they said she still thinks I'm a jerk. Let's see what some of the commenters have to say about this OP. The top comment says, emotional investment isn't a switch you can flip on demand. When she was busy having her exciting summer, you were put in the emotional limbo. Just because the season changed doesn't mean your feelings have to thaw out too. You're entirely justified in moving on to someone who sees you as first choice, not a convenient option when the party's over. That is true. Another commenter says, just because the season changed doesn't mean your feelings have thawed out too. Dude, bro, are you Robert Frost? In case you guys don't know who Robert Frost is, he's a famous poet. Another commenter says, I asked her out and she said no. Until after summer, then she said yes. But I already moved on. There isn't such a thing as reserving a person for a relationship. Simple as that. Person do whatever they want. If you reject them, then but say, maybe won't reject you later. Yeah, that's still a rejection. This ain't a restaurant or a doctor's appointment. Another commenter says, she was entitled to have her hot girl summer. He was entitled to not have to wait for her and lose feelings after being rejected. That doesn't mean that the hurt feelings aren't valid on both sides. But if you thought you were the real deal, you wouldn't have shopped around first. It's a legitimate criticism. I agree with that. Yeah, it's perfectly reasonable for someone who just got out of a relationship not want to settle down yet. But then you can't expect someone to commit to you when you can't do the same for them. That's also very true. Let's see, what's another? Another commenter mentioned, good, sensible friendships are hard to find. Well, he hasn't found one yet, so it's not like he's losing any. Like all the other commenters have mentioned, the OP has done a very mature thing. He asked, because he was honest with the girl and said, hey, I have feelings for you. What do you think about us giving it a try in a relationship? And like the other commenter said, she has her right to say, no, I want to go through my fun phase. Totally cool. Your prerogative. But he also has his right to say, you know what? You're not really the person that I thought I had romantic feelings for. So both points are very valid. She got to have her fun. And now that her fun is over, she's going to come back to OP. Like all the other commenters have said, and also the OP have mentioned, he is no one's second choice. And from the sound of things, it sounds like the girl just wanted to have her fun and then say, oh, you know what? OP will always be there for me type of situation. Say, I can always go back to him. He's my safe person. But in reality, OP has just moved on. Because he goes like, you already rejected me. Why would I wait for you? So he continues to go date other girls and find the right person. And, if their friendship was really, truly a strong friendship, then the small little hiccup wouldn't have... actually, I take that back. If this friendship was really as strong as it really is, she could have been honest and be like, all right, you know what? I respect that. You know what? It was my fault. I should have just taken the chance. But at the same time, I also can kind of see the point of view. They both just got out of, a long-term relationship. They should both just have their single phase and date as many people as possible and figure out what they are looking for in their next relationship and move on from however their previous relationship was like. I'm sure there was trauma during the breakup. So in a way, I think it's probably best that both OP and the girl just goes their separate ways and date other people and really not talk about it. But it's also kind of immature for the girl to be so upset with the OP because he can just moved on. Because come on, girl, you rejected him when he asked, what do you expect? Are you honestly expecting him to just wait for you until you are done with your so-called fun phase? I mean, come on. Seriously. I mean, if the tables were turned, would you have waited? Wouldn't you have moved on? Anyways, I would love to hear what you guys think of this situation. What would you have done in OP's position? Remember to leave it in a comment and to continue to subscribe and like to this. I'll see you later.